Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, today's a very special episode. I have Jason Mercier on the line, and he's Vice President of Investor Relations and Communications over at Pan Global Resources. And today's episode is part of our DealFlow Conference coverage series, where we bring you the best of those that are participating and at the DealFlow Conference that's happening actually as of this recording right now in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's January 28th, and we were able to snag Jason for a couple of minutes away from the conference to get some boots on the ground insights into how everything's going. So first thing first, Jason, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Adam, very much. When you say boots on the ground, it's probably snow boots at this point. It's pretty cold outside. Glad to be indoors.
Yes, sir. East Coast is getting it. I know you're at the Borgata, which is a beautiful venue, and I've been there a couple times with the DealFlow Events guys, and it's a great venue. So at least you don't have to go outside. Well, Jason, I want to get into Pan Global Resources, and we're going to get into that and some of the projects, what you're working on. But before we do, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So, Jason, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, for executives, for experts. That's what we do. Jason, what mission matters to you?
For me and for Pan Global, what we want to do is try to get more people interested and invested in the copper gold space. I think everybody should have some copper gold in their portfolio. It tends to move counter markets, so it's something that I think is really important to have in any portfolio. And I think that and maybe we'll talk a little bit about it, but my 3P strategy of people, place, and project are all really important for determining what kind of resource company you should invest in.
Yeah, it's great. Great to have you on. Love bringing mission-based individuals on to share why they do what they do, how they're doing it, really what we can all learn from that so we grow together. So good stuff there. Jason, how'd you get into this business? Copper and gold, like where'd that come from? How'd you get into this business?
You know, I was working at a public relations firm years ago. I won't say how long ago, but several decades ago.
Yeah.
And they were in a crisis and issues management business. And not surprisingly, they had a significant number of mining clients. And I just really like the people. I think it's a really tough job. I compare it to how farming is a really tough job too. And you're trying to find something that's hidden underground and find it so that it's economic and that you can produce resources that the world needs.
Let's get into the conference a bit. I know it's day one. I know it's the conference is kind of like midway, first day. What's the impression so far? How's everything going over at the DealFlow conference?
Yeah, it's been really interesting, I say, because, we haven't been here before. It's an event that I've had on my radar for a couple of years, but this was the year I think more general investors are looking towards the resource sector for the potential and also the potential upside. I mean, 2025 was a spectacular year for equities in the mining space. So we've had some excellent meetings. I've met a number of bankings and securities folks who are probably going to give us a real hand to get a bit of a wedge into the U.S. market because we haven't had as many investors in the U.S. as I thought we would have. And so we're making progress there.
Yeah, that's great. Let's get into the company. So Pan Global Resources, where do you want to start? Tell us a little bit more about the company.
Pan Global is exploring and discovering new deposits for copper and gold in Spain. Spain, a lot of people think of wine. They might think of sunny days. They might think of
Marbella.
Iberico ham, if you like Iberico ham.
I love it. Puerto Banús, I'm in. Go ahead.
All of that too. I know this is probably the best located project you can think of from both a mining perspective and a food and cultural perspective. We're about 25-minute drive northwest of Seville and literally sort of in the middle of an agricultural area, which you would think would be a concern, but it's been such a mining culture in that area that it's actually people work in agreement with you. And we have a lot of partnerships there with local farmers. The exploration that we're doing, we've discovered a copper tin silver deposit, which we just put out a maiden resource on at the end of the year, end of 2025. And we also have a gold copper deposit on the same property there. So for us, that's really the flagship. But we also have a project in northern Spain, about 55 kilometers north of Leon. and it's up in the mountains, but it's a gold discovery, and it's really the first true new gold discovery made in Spain in the last 30 years.
Wow.
So yeah, and it really put us on the map with a lot of investors last year when we announced it earlier in the year in 2025.
Go a little bit further into, you mentioned Maine, Spain in general, and like mining there. As a mining jurisdiction in general, like what's it like to work there?
Well, you got to put in the perspective of that the Iberian Peninsula, a lot of the reason why the Romans invaded it is because of the minerals. And so there was a lot of copper mineralization showing its surface in those years, 2,000 years ago. And what's even before that time, Phoenicians and the Visigoths and all around that era, for 4,500 years, there's been mining in the southern part of Spain. So our project is actually located next to a couple of old open pits that have been mined out as well. The Las Cruces to the east, 12 kilometers to the east, was operated by First Quantum. Used to be the richest copper open pit mine in the world. So wow. Very, very rich area. So a great place to go exploring. The properties we have actually have never really been explored. They're sort of the center of the donut. All around us, there's mines and operating mines to today. Yet we've got this great greenfield exploration property to explore. So that came in when our CEO came in. He knew some geologists that had the property. Then we were able to take that and start exploration. Our second hole hit on what became the La Romana discovery deposit.
Speaking of exploration in that particular type of company, when it comes to investing in that, what should investors know when they're thinking about investing in exploration, or consider, I should say, when they think about investing in exploration stage mining companies?
Well, I think going back to what I mentioned earlier, the people, place, and project. And I actually put it in that order, is that you really need an experienced team who understands the region they're operating in and also have made discoveries before. So our CEO, Tim Moody, made two big mine discoveries in South America when he was working there, and then also has made multiple discoveries in Portugal and Spain when he was working there for Rio Tinto. So it's the right team. And then you're looking at place. And a lot of people put place third. They put project before place. But I would say you have to look at place, meaning jurisdiction that you're operating in, is what's the risk of that jurisdiction? What's the chances that the government could come in one day and decide that they want to take half of it and take half of your investment as an investor away? And so that's something you have to consider. I mean, look at what's happening in other countries, like in Europe and in North America, where you're seeing the federal government's investing in mines. That's very different. That's a very supportive opportunity that's happening. And then look at the project. And of course, if it's not going to be a viable project, then everybody's wasting their time and more importantly, your money. So as an investor, you should be looking at a project that could be economically developed. And that's really the key thing, is that our team has a track record of developing economic deposits. So deposits that actually become mines and do produce revenue. There's a lot of people who make great discoveries, but if your great discovery is far up in the Andes or something like that, and it may not be developed for 30 or 40 years, even at this rate. So you have to look at projects that can be developed. The Spanish permitting system has a permitting process of 27 months end to end. And 27 months is quick for anywhere, but the fact that it can comply with EU regulations, yet still get developed that quickly, shows that this is really a mining favorable region.
Talk about Pan Global as a company in general. Like, what sets it apart from, let's just say, from other comparable companies in that niche, like as a potential investment?
Well, I think the key part, and we talk about this with our investors now and with potential investors, is optionality. And I think the issue you can run into with smaller exploration development companies is they may only have really one project that's viable, and they may only have one project or one deposit. So we've got two deposits on a property that's 10,000 hectares. That property has at least another 24 targets to test that have never been tested before. So your chances of making another discovery are really high. As well, we have our project in the north where we made that big gold discovery. That one, we've only tested that one target where we happened to make the gold discovery, but there's another 24 targets on that same property test. So the optionality is you've got two different projects, two different locations. You've really got copper, tin, silver, and gold in the south, but then you also have the gold, copper in the north. And frankly, other minerals, there's cobalt, there's nickel, and there's other things mixed in there too. So it's a really you can easily separate the two. And if one is not working or not hitting, as an investor, you haven't lost your money. You have just changed your focus to where there's a better chance of success.
And so obviously the diversification in that matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, that's something that when you can offer something, it's still in the same country, so you're not worried about different jurisdictions and that sort of thing.
And also geography, right? Like this proximity, literally just proximity, right? So cost, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that there's a very active mining industry. I mean, Spain is the #2 copper producer in Europe after Poland. But the Polish, as an investor, it's really hard for you to invest in it, if not impossible, because it's really a state-controlled kind of industry. Whereas in Spain, it's a wide open free enterprise system. There's a lot of exploration going on. There's a lot of companies operating there of big scale. So as an investor, it's just like a perfect market.
Jason, this has been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you breaking away from the conference for a couple minutes I know you got to go back, but before we wrap up, two things I want. I want you to explain that picture behind you a little bit, and also I want you to tell us what's next. What's next for you? What's next for the company?
Sure. I'll explain the picture just a little bit. This is the Aznakalar village, which is actually a mining village. It was built, if you can see the very top of the photo, there's a couple of open pits that have been mined out right behind it. So the village is built right up to the edge of the open pits. Grupo Mexico, a top 5 copper producer in the world, is actually going to be building a new processing facility there, and they're going to be going underground and mining that. And this is 4 kilometers away from our La Romana deposit, which in mining terms is next door. So that's a great place. The great part is, of course, your workers can all live there. You don't have to have a camp in the middle of the wilderness somewhere. So it's a lower cost operation right from the get-go. And then I guess I'd say, like, next things to expect from us, and one point that I really want to leave people with too, is because we're a company with multiple targets in multiple projects and well-financed, by the way, our program for 2026 is all funded. So we'll be doing 10,000 meters of exploration work at the two different projects. There'll be lots of news flow. And so news flow is really important in any business, but especially in the exploration business. There's no real seasonality to it. We're constantly putting out news. And I guess the last point being is that the projections right now, when you look at like Morgan Stanley or some of the big brokerage houses are putting out, they're saying that in the next 20 years, we're going to consume as much copper as has been consumed for all humankind for all history till this point.
Insane.
So that we just aren't finding the big deposits that we're looking for. So essentially the copper price is somewhat going to incentivize more exploration, but people aren't finding deposits like what we have right at the surface. They're finding deposits 300 meters underground, or they're finding deposits high up in the Andes. This is a great, accessible, close to infrastructure in a very low cost energy environment with a good trained workforce, all the elements that you need for a successful mine.
Amazing. Jason, how do people follow up? How do they learn more? How do they connect?
Probably the easiest and best way is on the internet. So to go to www.panglobalresources.com.
Fantastic. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put those links in the show notes. So you can just click on the links and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, you heard me right. It's a daily show. We don't want you to miss a thing. Hit that subscribe or follow button. And Jason, man, again, appreciate you making some time to come on from the conference, and enjoy the rest of the DealFlow conference. Have some fun.
Will do. Thanks very much, Adam, for having us.